do it naturally, baby. Baby. I'm every woman. It's all in me. Anything you want done, baby. I'm every woman. Welcome to Courtside Moms. I'm your host, Wendy Sparks. Today, I have the awesome pleasure of welcoming back Miss Nikki Alexander, mother of Nickeil Alexander-Walker of the Utah Jazz. Nikki, welcome.
Thank you for having me back again. It's a blessing to be here, and it's a privilege to again be in the seat across from you.
Oh, thank you. You know, I remember the first time we met 2 years ago. We were talking about your baby. Now we're in the same gym, the high school basketball, where is high school basketball started in. How surreal is that for you?
It brings you back to the days when I was that mother screaming on the sidelines, and still scream on the sideline, but it's a whole different gym now, and it's a bigger venues, and so it's actually very humbling to come back and see, and it's actually a bit of nostalgia to come back to the gym where it all started, and it's a privilege to be here, and I'm happy I can still at least say he started here, and he's somewhere else now.
So what do you remember about the games he played here?
I think most for me was some of the tournaments. They could get very volatile as parents, so they were very competitive. And I guess that's where the competitive spirit came from, through AAU, basketball, OBAs, etc. Everything has just magnified, and so it was a great experience. And you know, you look back and you treasure them. You wish you could go back to the days when this was all you had to worry about. But it was a good starting block. So it's really nice to be back and actually see where it all started and be physically here. So it's great. Thank you for doing that and bringing us back here.
Of course. Like, do you remember where you sat? Do you remember just the passion you had? Because I can't see you sitting. I can see you, that mom, that's standing up and
getting kicked out. Yeah.
That voice that everybody knew was in the gym. Come on now. I know you're not telling me any different.
Well, I'll be fair. A lot of parents are avid for their kids, advocates
Absolutely.
for their children. And that's how all parents are going to be. Me, maybe more than some, in combination with my brother. I think a lot of people will say that we had our levels very high in some games, but looking back, those were the best times. Those were the times where you saw the future and the possibilities, and so you can't take anything away, and it's just great that I'm in the situation I am now.
What does home mean for Nickeil, the city of Toronto, and Canada as a nation?
Well, Nickeil is Canadian through and through.
Yes.
A Torontonian, a Scarbarian. So this is home. This is where he's born. This is where he was raised. This is where his family is. This is where his friends is. So this will always be one of those places that he comes back to and wants to be familiar with. On his off season, if he's not training, he's back here with family and friends. So this is home. That's all I can really say. It'll always be home.
But what is that like for you when he comes home?
Oh, it's amazing because I still reside here.
Yep.
So that experience of being able to just spend time with my son, going out to dinner, just being with him, is always a privilege because, you know, with the schedules, you don't always get those opportunities. So it's kind of great that I finally have the opportunity to stay in one set place with him.
Yes.
And spend more than 5 hours with him, or not see him just through the lens of a basketball game. It's great.
What do you miss the most with your time with him?
That's a good question. I think the interactions with my mother, because him and my mother were very close. So it's great to see that he still has those connections. You know, most 23-year-olds very limited communications with their elders, but Nickeil makes sure he fosters those relationships and he holds them very close. So it's great to see that, and her face lights up when she finally gets to see him. So that's great.
That's so nostalgic.
I know,
Don't
it's
you love
sappy,
that?
but it's true.
That's okay. My parents, 82 and 86, sit there with Chem shirts on and watch Chem play. They don't miss a Raptors game. They call me and make sure that I know. They call me to tell me that there's a Raptors game on. And my mom always says, okay, well, we're going to go watch the Raptors game. I have to let you go. And I'm like, oh, sorry. Like, I have to go get my supplies, her chips and her drinks. And she sits there and she watches. Yes. And it's beautiful.
I'll tell you, and you have the pleasure of having your child play for the city of Toronto. And you know, you're probably, if you're in Canada, you get to see all the games. So with me, it was like he's never home. These games aren't always televised. So I had to get the NBA package. I had to make it a focal point of making sure I can see most of his games. So that was the challenge, but I'm still very much present in those games and viewing them.
You know what? I love that you just said that, because I too had the same challenge with Cam when he was playing at Pitt. Then he was playing, that's right. Yeah. Then, yep. And a lot of those games I couldn't watch. And going back when he played in Turkey, there was no chance, not even one. There was no, so I had to find packages and I was online streaming. And then he went to Greece. So it was hard. And then when now I can catch everything. I mean, it doesn't make, I don't care where on the globe he is, but that's something that we as parents, when our kids are gone, we're like, wait a minute.
It's one of those
I can't even see.
You navigate through, and then you figure it out. But you know, it's just great. We're in a situation where we're able to see our children on a certain level or platform, and hopefully excelling in what they do best. So that's great.
I remember having a conversation with Cam saying, I can't see you in person, and now I can't see you on TV. like because there was nothing. There was at the time, right? So it was hard, because now we have to wait for the news. Did you win? How'd you play? You could tell me I had 20 points. Who cares? I wanted to see. Every bucket counts. Every time our kids score, we act like it's the first time they actually put that ball in that net.
And that's why I said it's a very good NBA League Pass has been phenomenal. I get to watch every single game out of market. I mean, small market teams tend to not have as much profile and as much games on TV as a national TV is normal. So it's great to be able to see all his games and pick, and it's just it's like being there without being there. So it's great.
So getting back to this awesome school, he left the school and moved to the US and hasn't looked back since. Did you ever think letting your son leave at such a young age would lead to an NBA career?
It's a very good question, Wendy. I think for me, it was more, was he prepared mentally to be out of country by himself without his family there, away from everybody and everything he knew, to try and make it in a market that was at the time pretty much dominated by the US.
Yeah.
Right? So at first, obviously, as a parent, you have questions. You wonder as whether or not that's the best decision. One thing about Nickeil, he's very focused and very delivered in terms of how he's going to administer his goals. And so when he came to me and broached the subject about potentially going away for school, my first opinion is no. But you know, he, again, as I mentioned, he's very focused. So he came with all the pros and cons. And he outlined what he felt it would be and how beneficial it would be for him. So I think at the end, he won, as you can see. And it was because while he got certain type of notoriety here, when he went away is when you saw ESPN and other things open up for him that probably might not have been at the same level. Now, Canadian basketball has grown on a different level. Right now, you have scouts coming here, where before they weren't They would come maybe once or twice. So
Right.
it's on a different level and it's growing, and that's great for Canadian basketball. So I can't say enough about that. But initially, it wasn't the same type of situation. So it's great. It's great.
No, you're absolutely right, because the visibility back then was different for our kids, right? Cam was in Montreal, so there was nobody. Montreal is a hockey town,
and you would have had to come over here to just Toronto just to get enough tournaments that were competitive.
To play exactly. So as a mother, I was like, you know what? I wanted to selfishly keep him there, keep him with me, but it wasn't about me. So I recognized, and as you did, hold on a second, my son, he's maybe not that ready mentally to leave the nest, but this is what he has to do to move forward in his career. So when I look at you, I'm like, kudos to you, because a lot of moms would just absolutely refuse and just say, no, you're not going. And then sometimes the opportunities are missed. And it's unfair to the child. However, as a mother, we understand, right? We understand. We're like, okay, it is what it is. But sometimes it's just like, let go and let's just see what happens. And I always told Cam, the minute you're uncomfortable, you come home. The minute you are uncomfortable. And he said to me, I was so happy to leave. How dare you share that with me? He really did. He said, no, I'm good. Bye. So
same thing with Nickeil. Like at one point he told me the situation might not have been exactly ideal in one of the prep schools, and he would not have told me. Because he would have been on the first plane back to Toronto. But but that just shows the determination, the drive. So I respect it in the end of the day, and I look back and I was like, it kind of raised him and grew him into the man he's becoming. So it's a good thing. Yeah.
So let's move forward to his professional career. Bring us to a Pelican game. Last we spoke, Nickeil was a rookie and was just getting his feet wet. Since then, share with us the things that you enjoyed about watching him play there.
Well, I must say, first of all, New Orleans, NOLA as we call it, is a phenomenal city. They showed nothing but love to me and my son. From the staff, the people in the city itself, just going in a restaurant, it was just great. So kudos to them for that. I loved how they had the ability to just show love to somebody outside of their country from somewhere else. So that was great. Being at a game, especially in the rookie season, it was him, Jackson, and Zion as rookies going in, and they kind of made a little noise at first, and it was great and exciting. So at first it was a lot of that camaraderie kind of pushed over to the parents and the people, and it was great. It's great going and getting my tickets and sitting courtside, and it's always a blessing when you're able to watch your son live. But I just think the atmosphere being in the rookie season, it was just the height of excitement because he finally did it, right? Yeah. He went through all those challenges, and now here he is. And then he's going to go through a new set of challenges. But guess what? It was new, and it was great. So it was a great experience, and I think the people in New Orleans had helped to make it even better.
Right. Did you recognize your role then when you were sitting there in NOLA and you're watching Nickeil in his jersey on that court, and you're sitting there courtside, and you're like, wow, my son is here. But did you realize your role as mom for getting him there?
That's a good question. I think for me, it was just hit the shot. And when I'm watching the game, I'm enthralled in it. So what I'm looking to see is that he's playing well, he's doing the things right defensively, all that. But I mean, when I look back in retrospect is when I go, I think I did pretty good there. I pat myself on the back, maybe more than I should. But I think overall, I think I did a pretty good job. But ultimately, it was my son. And that's who I give all the praises to beyond God. And so I think he did a very good job in navigating that. I'm learning through him as well. I'm learning as a player's parent. I'm learning as a woman, as a mother in this whole big field and genre. So it's different and it's great. It's up and down challenges, but I think overall it was Nickeil that kind of made me see opened my eyes to a lot of things.
Of course. I mean, we both know that there's two sides, right? You know what I mean? You have the athlete side and then you have the business side.
And it's a very big business.
It is. And you know what? Sometimes our kids are just green to that. They don't know. They don't understand that. They left, you know what I mean, high school, then went to college, and then now they're professionals. I mean, they're working people now, and it's different. It's different. They're doing, like, we're working people, right? So now the kids are doing the same, like, you know what I mean, having jobs like us, but they don't know how to navigate any of that. They have no idea. All they know is, wait, the only difference is from me last year is that now I'm getting paid to do what I do. Exactly. But a game is a game. So it is tough for our kids at the beginning for them to learn to navigate and really step into the world of, hold on a second, it's not just basketball. Now, this is your business. Yeah. This is what you do. Like, amen.
A job and a different level than a different job than anybody else would probably have. So one that, you know, a lot of people wish they had. So there's always good things about it, and there's always, you know, things we'd like to have better. But overall, I think the experience has been great thus far. I'm just looking for it to continue, and let's see where this road takes us next.
Well, talking about where roads lead you to, let's fast forward to the NBA trade deadline last month. What did you know heading into that deadline?
What are you talking about? He was traded? Nothing, quite frankly. The trade came upon us pretty much at the last moment. We didn't have that much of a notification that it would happen. I mean, there's rumors, and there's always some type of, you know, waves in the water. You kind of sense something may be happening, but you just don't know definitively if it's going to affect you. So, honestly, I didn't have a huge lead up to it. I found out pretty much before the world found out, and it was a hectic few days just to navigate. I mean, you know, you talk to agents, you talk to this. I mean, I have coworkers messaging me, and I'm like, oh, really? And in that process, he kind of got traded twice, if you remember. So
within 24 hours, right?
Within 24
hours. He was traded first to the Trailblazers.
Yeah,
that's right. And then the next morning, he's in Utah.
Yeah.
So what was that like for you guys? And how did Nickeil react to that?
Oh, well, Nickeil has been phenomenal. I'm the basket guy, but in terms of, you know, just trying to figure out, okay, what do we do? What's next? What's the next steps? How do I navigate this? And I've never been in this situation. So again, it's a new thing I'm learning, and I'm like, oh, great. Now I know how to deal with it. And it'd be great to be able to go in and speak to a bunch of other new up and coming mothers and tell them this is how you handle this. But it's going to be different for everybody.
Yeah.
It's, it was an eye-opener as well, but I do believe he's in a situation or a position where it's going to force him to excel. And again, as a mother, that's all you want. As a player, that's all you want, the opportunity to develop and get better and showcase your skills. So at first it was a shock, but we're living through it now, and now I'm just, it's like, oh, I'm a Utah Jazz fan.
Yeah. Yeah, it is sometimes, like you said, shocking. Our kids, like, they just want to play, and then they're like, wait, I'm going somewhere else. And sometimes it is like, it's a mental game. It's a mental thing. And sometimes people say, oh, it's just part of the business. It doesn't matter. It's still sometimes like, wow, I'm no longer going to be with these teammates. I'm no longer, he's not my coach no more, or she's not my coach no more, or, you know what I mean? These are different fans now. I'm wearing a different jersey. So all that is it. You know what I mean? It's a lot for these players to think about. So Nickeil spent the first part of his career with such a young team. He developed lifelong friendships with the Pelicans. Will he miss the city and his teammates?
Oh, yes, of course.
What will he miss about them?
I mean, as I was going to mention, you foster relationships when you go anywhere. And Nickeil fostered a lot and great relationships with good people. Mm-hmm. I had the opportunity to meet Jackson, meet his family. Mm-hmm. great people all around. Great support system he has. Had the opportunity to meet Zion's family. Great people. You know, and again, even this new rookie, Trey Murphy, his mother, phenomenal. All around, just great people that he built relationships with. And me in turn, I learned to intertwine and build relationships with them as well. So it was bittersweet. I mean, to see the outpouring of appreciation for my son was on a level as a human being was phenomenal. And as a player as well. So, I mean, they were great, every one of them. It was nice. It was nice.
Yeah. But it's good to know that he's always going to have those teammates as lifelong friends.
He has built relationships, and
Absolutely.
I'm hoping he continues with it. I'm sure he will.
So now with your relationships with Pelican moms, let's talk about that a bit, because a couple of years ago when you and I met, you were a new Pelican mom. So you've learned so many different things since then. Now, do you now foster all that and take in another mom and say, listen, I'm going to show you now what I've learned? Do you pay it forward?
While I'm aggressive, I'll be a little bit more passive in terms of how I volunteer or solicit my help. But if there is anybody that ever came to me and wanted my opinion and wanted to understand, by all means, I'd be open to share any situation, because again, everybody's situation is going to be different. You could have a scenario and I handle it totally different than you handle that scenario, and it may be better or bad or worse. But ultimately, if somebody was to approach me and want to reach out to me, by all means. I haven't had the opportunity to meet any of the new parents yet. I'll be going to Salt Lake City, and hopefully the opportunity will present itself. But I know, because of the relationships and what I've built and what I've learned, it could be a lot more easier in terms of understanding, making connections. So I'm looking forward to it. It's just a little colder.
Yeah. You know, sometimes as moms, we don't know the impact that we have on other families or other mothers. And I met a mother a few weeks ago, Albita Murphy, Trey Murphy's mom from the Pelicans. And
she's fantastic, by the way.
Yes. And when she and I were talking, you came up because Nickeil just got traded. And the love that she displayed to me over the phone, like I felt it. And she just was, I can't believe Nickeil's no longer going to be here with us. You know, Trey really looked up to him. He was mentoring my son. He means so much to my son. And she was just loving, worried, because what if nobody else takes that role that Nickeil did for Trey and Nikki did for me? So I think, you know, as moms, we got to recognize that sometimes you figure, oh, I just had a little conversation with somebody, but the little words that you gave this mother really reached her heart. So never think that, you know what I mean? Never think the conversations that we have sometimes go.
You know, the funny thing is I paid her to say all those things.
Oh.
but in reality, Trey is a phenomenal young talent, and he's raised by phenomenal parents. And I think when you look back as players, people, if you see anything good in a person, it's usually there's a trickle down effect of where it comes from. And that's what Trey is a magnification of his parents. And Albita has been fantastic. She's a true basketball mother, and he epitomizes it. And it was a pleasure getting to know her, and all the other ones as well. There's ones I haven't even mentioned, that maybe not everybody would be familiar with, but and some that I have. And then just out of respect, I won't say everybody, but I think ultimately we all learn from each other. And you know, if she's ringing my praises, is because she's done a phenomenal job with her son as well. So she kind of sees a thread, I guess, a commonality that maybe, you know, will ring through for other mothers when you're looking at what you want to do best for your child.
Right. But I mean, now your kids will be playing each other in 2 days from now. So you imagine Nickeil leaves. New Orleans, and now he's going back to play against his team, but yet you are now going to go spend time with this mother.
Right.
Which I think is beautiful because you're like,
because above basketball is about relationships.
Yeah.
And regardless, the respect is there. Regardless of what team, just don't meet us in playoffs. But
different love then, right? Yeah.
But it will always be that camaraderie, the friendship. So it's great. You build relationships and you hope they sustain through anything.
Of course, of course. Everyone wants to get to the NBA, but staying in the league is an entirely different conversation. In order to stay in the league, you need opportunity. How do you think this situation in Utah will be different than New Orleans?
It's a good question. And in fairness, Nickeil had opportunities in New Orleans. Maybe not as much as I would have liked or his biggest fans would have liked, but there's opportunities. What you make of it is dependent on a lot of different factors, right? Situation, positioning, etc. So you can look at it both ways. It's ultimately up to the player to make the most of their, and I'll never take away that. Yeah. But what I will say is that the experience in NOLA has put him in a situation where he understands the business now, and Utah, based on their history, and I've heard phenomenal things about their development and putting people in positions to succeed. Yeah. I'm looking forward to see how he takes that and runs with it. He's playing for a team that went far in the playoffs last year, have 2 NBA All-Stars, 3 actually, because Conley went the other year. So, you know, the wealth, the wisdom, and what you can acquire and soak up it's just beyond my understanding. So, and it's going to be helpful to him, you just hope that he takes the opportunity and runs with it, which I believe he will. Yeah. It's just I'm looking forward to it because again, this is a playoff team. Every game you go to everybody's in the stand, and big market teams are kind of just a different feeling. Yeah. So it's just to understand that, and I think just getting excited about it because playoffs are around the corner. But in terms of my son, just looking to see how he gets better.
He's only going to get better.
Oh, yeah.
And he's in a situation now where, first of all, he already wants to get better, and now he has no choice but to get better. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like our kids, when they're put into these situations, they want to be sponges and soak all that stuff, you know what I mean? Everything up and just learn from the best that are there. So this is a good situation for him because now he's put in a position where he can just learn and be the best basketball player that he wants to be. So I don't know. I always say, there you go. I always say, put yourself in a position, you know what I mean, where you can grow and learn. So if you look at something or someone who's successful, look and see what they're doing and how they're doing it. And then just make it your own. Do the same, but make it your own. And this is now the opportunity for Nickeil to do that. So I'm looking forward to seeing what's coming up.
Me too. Me too.
So every NBA organization is different. I mean, no two are the same. So how has Utah embraced you and your family?
In fairness, I haven't had the opportunity to get down there. So I don't think they have much embracing to do because they haven't had the opportunity to fully meet me face to face. I think once I get the opportunity to get down there, have discussions, meet their internal team and everything, I think that's when I'll start to see how what's the next steps and how they will embrace me. I'm a very loud, loving mother who wants to make sure that at no cost her son is exceeding. So, and all I want to do is have him in this situation where he can be in the best he can be. So I think if their goal is to make him the best and their goal is to win and his is to win, I think we'll get along fine.
That's awesome. I love it. You're that mom where they're in the stands, you're like, she's here. She's here.
Oh, I don't know for that. Utah has a fan base. So it's going to be interesting to see just how loud I am in comparison. So it's going to be interesting, but fun.
Yeah, it's always fun, right? For me, every game is like the first game. I don't, I'll never, ever, ever get used to watching my son play in the NBA. It always brings tears to me, and I'm so intense watching the games. And
like, well, I'm an old pro now, but I get what you're saying, Wendy, because quite frankly, you get out there and it's like the thrill initially when you get out in the first game and you're watching, and the second game you're getting out and you're watching, you're engaged and you're cheering them on. So it's back to high school. It's back to where we started. So it is great.
Yes,
but just let's hope they continue to do what they're doing.
So now let's get to some real talk. People often think that because our kids have made it to the NBA, it means that we made it too. We're still moms. We still work.
That's a very interesting.
Yes, and we're still supporting our families.
Thank you.
How do you respond to that preconceived notion?
It's so funny you say that, Wendy, because that is so true. I mean, I had friends come to me and say, well, they told me that you don't work no more. You're living life on a beach. And I'm like, really? Yeah. And I mean, my nephew did great. He got a second contract, max ticket, and they think, oh, well, I still am a woman and an individual person who doesn't believe that my livelihood should rely solely on my son. Right. At 23, I didn't have to take care of my mother. I don't believe at 23 his goal should be to take care of me. Now, when he gets to LeBron, and he will, then it's a different conversation, right? But at this point, all I want him to do is just exceed. Focus on his art, his craft, his job, and be the best he can be. I still work. I'm going to continue if my old body can keep it up. And I don't think that just because our children are in a higher platform, it changes anything. It just means there's more attention on there. There's more scrutiny. There's more criticism. But at the end of the day, I'm a mother who wants to ensure that her son is doing the best for himself, building his worth, his capital, investing. All that's important. And as you know, he has a great financial person in doing that. So that's all I care about. So while everybody thinks we're on top of the world, we are. Just naturally. But it's a different sense. It's just more making sure that we're okay by our own means.
No, and I brought that up. It is important because people just think that automatically that we're walking around wearing mink coats and driving.
I love a mink, but I will wear one. But it's usually our own hard work has done a lot.
Yeah, and I don't like when people negate our hard work, right? We get up every single morning and we go to work and we live life. We are mothers first, or women first, and then we're mothers, right? You. So
thank you.
Whether my kids are here or not, I still go to work. And you know what? I want to.
Yeah, I agree.
Have my own identity. So that preconceived notion sometimes it drives me crazy.
But we are living life.
Yes. You know what? For me, going to a Raptors game, I feel like a millionaire. I feel like, everything. I feel like on top of the world.
Feeling of being in a live game. It's just going to be natural for anybody.
Yes.
Off the street, you'd feel the same way, same energies.
Yep. When people ask me, and I say this all the time, my biggest accomplishment in life is, birthing an NBA player. When someone asked me, what do you think is your biggest accomplishment lately? You know what I mean? And I'm like, well, 29 years ago, this NBA player came along.
Pretty nice accomplishment.
There you go. And a couple of years later, his brother came along. So it's like, don't negate what we do. We are women and we're strong. So juggling everything we do as moms is no easy task. How do you support Nikhil from afar?
It's interesting you say that. I don't even know if I should be sharing all this. Getting into little details. I'm not going to, but I'm going to share it with you, Wendy. I'm going to share it with you. I have a ritual. I speak to my son very often. We have a very strong communication base. So if I don't call him or text him, he gets a text from me with a message about anything, a positive message, a spiritual message. I send him that every day. And he'll respond to the message. I talk to him. I share videos with him. We have a great relationship because we communicate well. If we're angry, we speak about it. If we're happy, we speak about it. And usually, you think, with my age, I won't mention it, and with him being 23, you think there's a disconnect in terms of how much we can build and have a rapport, but it's been fantastic. And I think with the fact that he's away and I'm not able to just be with him as him, we've increased the amount of the ways by which we communicate. So it's been, to me, not a challenge communicate. It's just a new ways and finding other ways to uplift and support. You can't do it when you're not physically there, but we still find ways to make sure that we are telling each other how we feel. We're uplifting each other. We're encouraging. We're celebrating the good moments. The 37 points against Kawhi and Paul, like that, like those types of things get celebrated regardless if I'm there or not. So it just increases our awareness of each other.
Yeah. No, and that's important because I always tell my kids, I don't care how old you are, you check in. I want to know where you're at, what you're doing. And my kids always laugh and they say, you want to know because you're nosy. I'm like, yes, I am, but I'm still your mom and I want to know. And it's just normal for us.
Title doesn't go away a mother just because our children do something maybe not normal in profession. It sometimes can increase because they're such in a public eye. You wonder, how are they dealing with all this criticism, even the fame of it. So we're mothers. We're mothers at the end of the day, and we just have children that everybody loves their children the same. We just have them in more of a spotlight than anybody else. That's all.
Yeah. Yeah, and absolutely, I'm glad you said that because that is so true. The spotlight on our kids, it's huge. And sometimes it's bigger than what they expected, right? They don't realize that when they were starstruck, when they were that age, a younger age, looking at NBA players, the vets now, they don't realize, like, wait a minute, that's me. I'm living that life. You know what I mean? So those fans that are like talking about me and loving on me or hating on me, that's what I used to do.
Well, my son got criticism before, and I used to deal with it hands-on. I would call out the person, I would email them back, and it's like, am I going to chase down every 1,000? So it's funny, you learn now. You learn what's important. You learn how to navigate through the criticism and how you deal with social media on as a whole, and what you take in and retain, and what's your priorities. So I'm a vastly different person than I was in his high school days, because when he initially came here, I vocally would have said, I don't like that comment, don't say it again. But now, I just don't have the latitude and the bandwidth to take on every criticism. But the good thing about it, there is a lot of good, and you treasure those moments. And I show appreciation for those that show the appreciation to my son.
So he is only 23 years of age and very accomplished. But how does he stay level-headed through all the noise and distraction?
Because he still has goals that he doesn't believe he's attained. I mean, he's reached a certain goal in terms of going to college, playing secondary level basketball, getting into the NBA. But we still have a lot of goals that we still have to reach, and that he will reach. So what will happen now is you shift focused and you continually chase a new pinnacle of success. And again, with the situation in his teams now, hopefully this is putting him in a situation where it's just going to further excel.
Yeah, absolutely. So Nickeil and Shay are so close, but are both their own person, of course.
Yes.
It's easy for fans and media to compare the two. How does Nickeil run his own race?
Wow, that's a good question. Because I see them as the mother and the aunt, and I see them as two totally different people. Mind you, the Alexanders as a whole are very interesting people, but they are individuals, all of us. So all of us in their families. So I never really seen them as one whole. I just see them as we're a family who love each other and support each other.
Yeah.
My nephew's success is our success.
Yeah.
Nickeil's success is our success. His failures, we need to ensure he's dealing with it, or his failures, same thing. And Shay has a situation where he's had a great school he went to, was in a good position in the school, went into a team that was in a good position to put him in the situation he is, and so you feed off of that. You look now to see what it is that you can do and to mimic or emulate maybe, but I don't ever see them the same because I see them as two different people with their own personalities. The only thing that resonates that is one common thread is the fact that there's love for each other. And that will never go away or change.
So before we conclude, tell me what's next for Nickeil Alexander-Walker?
Well, that's a good question. And I'm wondering too. I'm looking to see what's next for my son because quite frankly, we are getting in a new situation. The trade just happened. So what is next will be what Nickeil makes of it and what his opportunities are given to him and how he flourishes in that. That's, I think, what will be next. I mean, I could sit here and tell you, I think my son is a great player. I know his weaknesses, his good points. I know everything, but the world hasn't fully seen this full skill set. You've got a hint of it, and there's been flashes of brilliance. But I think once you get the consistency with that, and that's going to come with repeated playing opportunities, putting yourself in a position to succeed, the team as well as yourself. So I think once all that comes together, I probably won't have time to meet with you.
You better always make time for me. Thank you.
But
you know what?
All jokes aside, I would never. But I think that's when it takes off and you see I'll have a whole new set of things to talk about then.
You know what? And that's what I love about this because we never know when things are going to change. And every day something, exactly. Thank you. Every day we're growing as moms and every day our kids are growing. And with that, my last question to you, which is my favorite question that I ask every mom.
I'm interested to hear this.
What is it like being the courtside mom to Nickeil Alexander-Walker?
Well, it's fantastic. In short, it's brilliant because it's a great feeling. It's I don't know how to capture it in words. All I can tell you is I'm as proud as any parent to be the son of that child. And basketball aside, he's a fantastic young man. He has a heart of gold, and I could outline a lot of different things that people just don't know about, but that wouldn't be necessarily what I'm trying. The world doesn't need to see every single thing. Yeah. What they need to know is that he's a great individual and he's a fantastic basketball player. And what he's going to display to the world is his skills on the basketball court. And once he's given that opportunity, I believe a lot of the world will agree with me.
Keep being amazing.
I'll try.
Keep being.
I can't stop. I can't stop it.
Honestly, I appreciate you so much more than you know. I love spending time with moms because, like I said, we learn from each other. This is always a teaching opportunity. Every single episode I do, every single mother I meet or see again, there's always something that I learn and something that I can push forward to somebody else. The other mothers that we talk to, right, all the time. Like, I was listening to something, a conversation the other day, and someone said, we're like on elevators, and we got to bring that elevator down to the bottom now and bring everybody else up with us. And that's what we should be doing. Yeah. So I agree. Yeah. So I thank you for taking this time and really letting us know, giving us updates on Nickeil, because we always want to know where our players are. You know where it all started, and now we all know where it started, and now we're continuing along his journey with you. That's right.
And thank you, Wendy, for giving us a platform to just talk about our sons.
Listen, no one can talk better about our sons than us. Thank you.
Thank you.
So thank you, Nikki, so much for coming on Courtside Moms. And I want to give a special shout out to the Raptors and Open Gym for being a part of today. I want to give a special thanks to Hodan Nalayeh Secondary School for allowing us to record our show.